tuned in to the Mile Highlighter.
Y'all, what's up? It's Shetta B, and you're tuned into the Mile Highlighter. These past couple of episodes, I've been talking to you guys about reintroducing yourself, re-innovation, and now we're going to be talking about circling back and the return of the Mile Highlighter. So as I've probably told you guys plenty of times, December 2019, it was the start of the Mile Highlighter. I'll say actually 2013. I don't know exactly when, 2013. Whenever I dropped the mixtape, Mile Highlighter was a name. But I wanted to create a podcast that had the same core values as the Get Off with Shetta B or Shetta Blanco. And those core values, or the mission statement, was just to highlight creatives, tell real stories, and give people their flowers while they're still here. So the Mile Highlighter, when I just didn't want to rethink of names, like all that. So I was just like, oh, it could be called the Mile Highlighter because, we live in the Mile High City. High is spelled H-I, and then lighter. I'm breaking down the word like y'all don't know how to read, but Mile Highlighter was just like the mile high, and we are going to highlight the people, you know what I'm saying? So that was like my thought of it. I teamed up with Mr. P and Mrs. Lee to create the podcast. I thought they were a good group of people to do this with because they were someone at the time, and still to this day, I call for advice. We'd be chopping it up on the phone and be like, this is good podcast material, you guys. And also I just wanted to create where it wasn't just a feminine energy type thing. I wanted my podcast to get male audience of all kinds, I feel like it's very important when talking about topics or things that there's a male point of view, a woman's point of view, some debating, someone calm. So the three of us, I believe, just brought the mesh of those things. So we're not only the vibe and the calm and the stern things and the debating. I feel like they were good business-minded people. They're also, within our conversation, we constantly talked about being an entrepreneur and what that looked like. And I thought this would be a great project that we teamed up on to start their entrepreneurship. Because at that time I had already been 2-3 years into Night Shetta's photography. When I brought them together, they actually clicked. It was no tension. It was lovely. It was meant to be. It was definitely meant to be. So from there, we just kept going. But I do want to tell y'all that starting a podcast was a learning process. With all of our experiences, and not to toot my own horn, but I may have had more experience than they did with some of the technical things. But even with that being said, I knew things, but it still was a point of me actually learning. I literally had to learn. I learned a lot. For some reason, I didn't want to do the podcast where my face was showing. I don't know. I was against it. I wanted it to just be a radio style, voice thing. And I feel like as a group, we all agreed. We all had our own personal reasons on why we didn't want a visual and we were just pushing on audio. But as time has grown, I realized you guys need to see, y'all need the visual. That creates a good space and a good trustworthy podcast. I feel like seeing me. So like I said, the learning process was we stalled. With installing, we did not post anything. we created the Facebook, we created like all the platforms, the Spotify's and things. But we were just recording and piling it up. Not even editing it, if I could be honest. And I think that was something that caused us to like delay again too, because why weren't we posting, y'all? Like, and I can answer that. We weren't posting our content because we were critiquing ourselves. We were searching for perfection, which is really, really not wise. When you're starting new things, you're not going to know exactly what to do. And I think that it's very good to see your progression. Granted, no one wants to put out trash, right? But trial and error. Another thing that stalled us out was being people pleasers. So outside of the perfection, we were worried about being canceled. Why? I don't know. Because let's just be honest, we hadn't did anything yet to be canceled. We weren't recording enough. We didn't even post. But we were worried about tasks that just didn't have any type of weight because we hadn't done anything yet. So trying to make sure we didn't get canceled was one of the reasons why we didn't post. And now that I've gone through some experience and I've seen some things within my business, I've truly learned that you can't please everybody. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. Everybody's not my cup of tea. You also grow your following and you grow your tribe and you grow your audience. You don't get to handpick who your audience is. You don't get to handpick who your tribe is. I mean, you have some say so when you're doing like your personal tribe, your personal clique, but like when you're doing things like this, you don't know who is going to support you. And all you can do is just be very much appreciative that you do have the support. And you don't know who you're going to rub the wrong way and who's going to like it or not. But that doesn't matter. Don't stall out for that reason. We had a lot of trials. So with our trials, I'll say the recording, we had a lot of trials. So within us recording and not posting, we were recording like hour-long shows and Mr. P's mic wasn't on. Or hour-long shows and we accidentally did like one line where everybody's vocals was on one, like trial and error, very trial and error. And with that, I've learned to just do what you do know how to do. If that makes any sense. Like if I knew how to keep it under one line, so just record it and post it, and then learn the breakdown of everything as you go, because everything's a learning curve. And just to post, don't stockpile. And that's what I'm doing right now with the Mouth Highlighter. Of course, with my team support, they were encouraging me to just do it without them before, but I just felt like, who wants to sit and talk to a camera by themselves? Like, I felt like it was way more entertaining with us three. But here I am. I got to do what I got to do, or else it'll never get done. So you guys are going to see me posting a lot, even if it's messed up. Y'all, I can have a booger in my nose right now. I'm going to post it. Yeah, that's what I'm on in 2026. So then I talked to you guys about errors. Like one big error, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Anyway, one big thing that we did learn was keeping everything together, like recording, like our memory bank, like your external drives and things like that. Like we learned how to do backup. We lost everything. And that moment taught us that we need to, I shouldn't have been the only person with a copy of the thing. outside of us having physical copy, we should have had a backup online thing. Because when I say my computer crashed, it crashed. On top of the crash, COVID hit. And at that moment, I feel like with COVID hitting, I feel like we could have took off in 2020 as well if we had all the materials that we had stockpiled, because everyone was in the house. They didn't have nothing to do. And at that point, we could have been posting all of our content that we made. And it could have spiraled out. But not only the shutdown and COVID, like plans canceled, and I just feel like COVID actually shifted it, and we could have played that better, like ultimately. But we played it on a uncertain level. Like we wasn't sure. It was scary. All that was scary. It was new. We didn't know what was going to come of it. I can say for me, I was stressed because I was like, what is it? September, October, November, December, January, February. 6 months into my first lease at a photography studio, and they're telling me the world shutting down. Ghetto. What the fuck is gonna happen? Like, what am I gonna do? And with all that being said, Mr. P moved. We were all kind of not sure, and we just kind of had to pause because we didn't have what we needed to just post, and then we would have had to re-record, and we didn't think it was going to be authentic talking about certain topics. And I think we lost our momentum just because of the crashing of the computer and COVID. The loss was kind of heavy, I ain't gonna lie. Like, for me personally, I was just like, fuck it. Fuck it. And not because I didn't care, but just because, like, damn, we lost from December to March. To March, April, all that we recorded, and now we don't even have nothing to post. And then everybody scattered all over the place, and now we got to relearn how to do things. I just don't feel like I had the patience. And also, my business was Night Shadows Photography. 2020 was like when things popped off for Night Shadows Photography. And I do genuinely think that maybe it was necessary for us to pause. And like I've been saying, like, some pauses are important. You don't really realize why it's a pause. But for this, like, talking about this out loud, I think that it was needed because I was really, really busy with Night Shadows Photography. And I don't think I could have poured into the podcast, or I was mentally ready to multitask. Life with my children and family and my business and a podcast. So the pause, I think, was necessary, even though it was heavy. Photography kept me grounded, and it kept me moving forward and still in the creative field. But now that we are here, 2026, I feel like my business is still busy, right? But now I have more experience and more control over how my businesses ran. In 2020, it was just starting, and I was going through my trial and errors and overworking myself and just taking any job because I want to put my name out there. Now I'm at a place of my business 11 years this March and now I choose my battles with my business. And I feel like I can multitask this and Night Shadows Photography. I can also pour a little bit more into this and it still not affect Night Shadows Photography because it's already got its own name and it's standing on its own little thing. So 2026 is me circling back, knowing that it's not going to be easy, right? Knowing that it's not going to be perfect. And this time I'm not searching for perfection at all. I'm just going to be showing up every week every Thursday with my podcast. Even if it's only 8 minutes long, that's going to be my growing pain. I'm going to slowly set a goal and continue to hit 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But these last couple of episodes have been that, give or take. But again, I'm growing. But I wanted to really take time in this episode to just really let y'all know that starting over doesn't mean zero. Starting over, it means you're starting with experience this time. And I think starting with experience versus starting from zero is like two different things. Starting from zero is really and you have to start from zero, right? But it's harder because you got to take those L's, and you don't believe and you can't see the vision. But now starting from experience, which I've had experience, but this time I'm unpacking correctly. You know what I'm saying? With my experience, this time now I'm a little bit of leverage, like what I'm not okay with, my non-negotiables, what I'm going to push myself through, because I know that pressure is going to create the diamond. The experience is going to be what keeps the Mile Highlighter going this year. But if you're listening and there's something, life made you pause, something you still think about, like I've been saying continuously, this is your sign. This is your sign to circle back. I'm not into spinning the block, guys. I do not encourage you to spin the block unless it's spinning the block on yourself, on your dream, on things that elevate you, on things that water your soil and make you grow. Do not go spinning back to that man, okay? That's neither here or there. But spin back on what you paused, what life made you pause. But before I end this series, I do want to ask my question. What did life make you pause that you're ready to circle back on? One of those for me is the Mile Highlighter. I probably have a few things, but I can't think right off the top of my head. But the Mile Highlighter is definitely my spin the block, my circle back. And this time, it's going to be successful. But let me know what that thing is for you in the comments. I also want to thank you guys for rocking with me. And thank you for giving me this space to grow out loud, because we're going to be growing together. I'm Shetta B, and this is another episode of the Mile Highlighter. Thank you for tuning in. Love y'all.
You are now tuned in to the Mile Highlighter.